following program is intended for mature audiences.
Atomic batteries to power. Turbines to speed.
Roger. Ready to move out.
What do you say we have a rock and roll party?
You're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports.
Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes.
And check out every episode of the show at basicallysports.tumblr.com.
Now here's your hosts, Zach,
Greg, Mike.
And you're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Did you guys ever watch the old campy Batman series? I mean, I'm sure you've seen it. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the movie.
The movie was art. Come on.
Yeah, the movie is high art. No, yeah, I saw plenty of reruns on. I think they do it on TV Land occasionally.
The thing I saw more. The thing I saw that more than the Adam West live action show was the Adam West animated show that he did.
Oh, see, I've never seen that.
Yeah. I remember a lot of those, but mostly the times that I saw the Adam West cartoon Batman was when he was solving crimes with Scooby-Doo and the Globetrotters.
Yeah.
Sort of fun stuff.
Those freaking Globetrotters showed up everywhere, man. They were on Gilligan's Island, Scooby-Doo, you name it. Love Boat.
And anytime it was the Globetrotters on Scooby-Doo, the villain was always like the coach of the Washington Generals who just wanted to keep them up late so they couldn't win the game or something.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, I was very young when the Batman series first started, and they would play it. I think it was on Tuesday and Wednesday nights, like at 8 o'clock. Like Tuesday would be part 1 and Wednesday would be part 2. And I tell you what, man, we loved that show. And I loved him on Family Guy too. I thought he was great on that.
Well, yeah, that's where most people have kind of fallen back in love with Adam West.
Yeah.
With Adam Wee.
Yes. I would be remiss if I didn't mention, in terms of Adam West Batman, the modern animated series where he was the Gray Ghost.
Yes.
Which one did Mark Hamill do the voices for?
Joker.
Same animated series?
Yeah, the 90s Batman, the animated series.
I had no idea it was Mark Hamill at the time. I only realized it later on when I was old enough to use the internet, and, I found this stuff out.
Luke Skywalker is the Joker?
Yeah.
No.
Isn't it funny how Harrison Ford went on to become one of the biggest movie stars really ever, and Mark Hamill did one movie, I think, after Star Wars called Corvette Summer, which I'm sure you guys have never even seen it, and kind of faded into obscurity other than the Star Wars stuff. It's just funny how that stuff works out to me.
He's done some bit parts. He was in the first Kingsman movie.
Yeah, he was.
And the funny thing is, as I'm looking at him, I'm like, is that Mark Hamill? No, that couldn't be Mark Hamill. Why would he be doing this? And then, credits show up. Professor, whatever his name was, Mark Hamill. Oh, there he is. He made so much money from the last Star Wars movie where he didn't have to say a damn word.
He was in it for what?
Give a look and
a minute tops at the most?
Yeah, at that.
Yeah.
I was sure that he was going to say something in that movie because finally we're getting to Mark Hamill, getting to Luke at the end. Surely we're going to get at least one line out of Luke, but nope, we're not.
And remember all the secrecy behind his role in the movie?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He could have come out and told you, I'm going to stand on a mountain and not say a fucking word, and it wouldn't have spoiled the thing.
I remember when they first started production, they had this big shot of all the cast members at a table read for the thing. And it's how do you feel if you're Mark Hamill? Did he have any lines in the original script? Or was he always planned to just kind of stand there, give a look, and then fade to black?
How much did he get paid for that, though?
Probably a lot of money. It's Disney, man. They paid out.
But that's what I mean. I mean, there was so much secrecy about his involvement and then what his role was going to be. And then you had the scene with Ray where you see what you think is his hand touching R2-D2, and you're like, this is going to be something.
That couldn't have even been him. That could have been somebody in a cloak, too.
At the end of it all, he's standing on a mountain. That's it. He could have come out and said, I stand on a mountain, and you would have not been any worse for the wear.
I can't remember if I told you guys this when we did our big Star Wars talk, but I remember back when the Force Awakens trailer comes out. I mean, the first real trailer, not the teaser.
But
but the first real trailer came out.
And not the teaser or the teaser.
Yes, or that one, yes. But I showed the trailer to my best friend, my mom, and my then boyfriend at the time. And I sent them all text messages, and within 5 minutes, all of them had gotten back to me, and they were all saying the same thing. Oh, so Luke Skywalker goes evil, huh?
Well, that was kind of what everybody thought. That's kind of the way they made it look.
He was gonna be Kylo Ren, and then they kind of just diffused that bomb midway through the movie, where they kind of just casually dropped the line that, oh, he's Han Solo's son. And then from that point on, I'm spending the entire time going like, oh shit, that means Luke's still out there. I bet you he's going to do some cool stuff.
Yep, I'm going to stand on a hill. It was cool, though. I think it was one of his best scenes in the entire set, really.
Yeah, well, and he's got plenty to say in the next movie, I think.
Yeah, I'm going to bet you that the first line in the next movie comes from him.
Well, the next movie is picking up exactly at that spot, which is weird now that I think about that, because when they have to do the crawl, normally the crawl is like, this is what's happened between the last time you saw it. Now, are they going to just tell you the plot of Force Awakens in the crawl?
I imagine they're going to talk a lot about maybe Kylo Ren and the First Order.
Yeah.
Their super secret spaceship got blown up, and here's what Kylo Ren's doing.
I don't know. That'll be interesting. But it comes out, in December, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so we'll have another Bass Star Wars Holiday Special coming up this year, so that'll be fun.
Indeed.
Yeah. Anyway, I forgot what we were talking about.
Well, we started talking about Adam West.
Oh, right, Adam West, yeah. Who was also a bit player in some Westerns before he did Batman. I don't know if you guys have
probably should have been in Star Wars at some point. Should have been.
Had the coolest Batmobile of them all, I think.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say that.
I don't know if it was the most technologically advanced Batmobile, but aesthetically, it was definitely the coolest one.
And still the only Batman to ever surf.
Yeah.
And the first Batman, as far as I know, to specifically plan for a shark attack.
Right. And he danced. He had the Batman dance. Remember, with the 2 fingers over the eyes? And oh, man, he was the shit. Adam West, let me tell you.
Sometimes you just can't rid of a bomb.
Actually,
as his family wanted or had said the day of, rest in peace, bright night rather than dark night.
What was he, 88?
88.
That's a good run.
And I think it was leukemia, ultimately.
Too bad. But hey, you know what? He provided a lot of entertainment on a couple of really cool shows, and that's not so bad.
Not at all.
Now that we've moved on from Batman and Adam West, I have a serious question about the game last night.
Sure.
And
the
game
disallowed
goal.
The Pittsburgh Penguins clinched their second consecutive Stanley Cup.
Yeah, well, yeah, I want to talk about that too. Where does that place them historically and all that, et cetera, et cetera. But, okay, on the disallowed goal, we'll start there because that seems to be the biggest point of contention with everything here. Is the rule, like it is in football, once the whistle blows, that's it?
Yes.
Clearly the whistle had blown before the puck went into the net.
Well,
Yes.
it's partly the whistle blowing, and then there's also the intent to blow the whistle, which comes into play too.
Officials are taught to blow the whistle when they lose sight of the puck. When dealing with a goalie who may or may not have possession of the puck, the rule is if the ref can't see the puck, blow the whistle.
Oh, see, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
And most refs are pretty good about giving it an extra second to, like, make sure they know where the puck is.
This is my next question then. So, based on everything, did the Predators get as screwed as some people think they did?
No.
In the moment, yes, they got screwed. But like you pointed out on the boards, Mike, and I kind of agreed to an extent too, they had 4 power plays.
Including a 5-on-3.
A 5-on-3.
A 5-on-3 for like 45 seconds or something like that.
And they had the clear advantage in face-off wins, too.
Yeah. Even when they had their 5-on-3 opportunity and all those power plays, having seen plenty of them against the Ducks, their power play was kind of garbage.
I think it took them their third power play just to get a power play shot on goal.
In that 5-on-3, PK Subban and I think it was Roman Josi, they played hot potato at the top of the point.
I was watching highlights of it. In that 5-on-3, it was like somebody needs to take a shot.
I was going, well, what are you doing?
The same thing happened when they played the Ducks. They had a couple 5-on-3s where I was scared to death, but they would just pass the puck around the perimeter and like wait for the perfect shot.
Yeah.
I think it was in game 6 when they ultimately lost. One of the spots where I thought the Ducks were going to be done for sure, they gave up that 5-minute major, and the Predators took the entire 5 minutes. It didn't get a shot in a 5-minute major power play. And, in watching them against the Penguins, they didn't change anything about their power play in the Penguin series. They didn't take advantage when they had the advantage.
And something to point out, too, but on a major, that you score, you get to keep on scoring until the penalty runs out,
exactly.
Right? Yeah,
that's
why would you pass it around?
Right.
That's not a time, I think, where you sit and play tic-tac-toe and try to get the perfect shot. You got 5 minutes, and you can score as many goals as you can get in that amount of time.
It seemed to me like the Predators, maybe as a team, gelled really well, and maybe they were kind of just, I don't want to use, because it seems really like they were maybe not taking the situation lightly because they were on the brink of elimination, but like they kind of were just amusing themselves, like, oh, hey, we do this all the time in practice, let's pass it back and forth for a while. And it's just stupid. It wasn't even like a 5-on-3 that was a minute plus. It was only 45 seconds, so make the best of your opportunity while you have it.
Ultimately, the Predators fell victim of Rene finally, falling apart in a couple games.
Oh, yeah, that game 5 was...
All the games in Pittsburgh weren't great for Rene. And the scoring just kind of dissipated. Like, I remember we talked about it last week that I was just so surprised that the Predators found that much offense in those 2 games in Nashville. But that's the only time they found it. Outside of those 2 games, they didn't really get anything going in any of the games in Pittsburgh. And even the 1 goal that they got taken away from them in the game 6, it's a fluky play. It's a shot, it's a rebound, it's a dive toward an empty net. Guys didn't know where the puck was. It's not like they were clicking on all cylinders offensively. I don't feel bad necessarily for Nashville.
I know Mike doesn't feel bad for him at all.
Oh no, I believe my words last night were "Stay classy, Smashville," because
no, it wasn't quite that nice actually.
Oh no, it was it was "fuck Smashville" in the text message to you, but on the board,
okay,
it was "Stay classy, Smashville."
Yeah, the text I got, well, go fuck yourself, Smashville.
Yeah, but it was like after the Penguins scored that empty net goal. After they score that empty net goal, they start like littering the ice with garbage.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people have taken, they've defended it saying, the call, there's a shit call, obviously you're pissed off. I know a friend of the show, Cosmic, said, and I'm quoting what he wrote on the boards, I love all these sanctimonious people who think that a few fans throwing stuff on the ice after losing the cup under questionable circumstances defines a whole fan base. I'm sure they think their team's fans would never do that kind of thing. Keep telling yourself that. And to that, all I can say is, look, all I heard for this entire Stanley Cup Finals was how fantastic the Nashville Predators fan base was and how just wonderful. Oh, they're great hockey fans. Look how great they've taken. Look how much they support their Preds and how they turn out for the team. And then, when you tell that narrative and then you then throw garbage on the ice, I'm sorry, that you deserve blowback from that. You just do. Maybe don't throw garbage on the ice next time.
It reminds me of the Kings, insofar as the bandwagon is strong, and it's a bunch of people that don't know how to behave with these sort of things, that haven't, watched these things, and so they're just dudes that are like, oh, hey, everybody's wearing my yellow T-shirt, and let's go drink and watch the hockey game. And they react like douches.
They acted like a bunch of petulant children that didn't get what they wanted.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what to make of them down there. I mean, it's a bunch of hillbillies watching hockey. That, to me, doesn't even make sense from the start. I don't even know where to go from there.
It's great that they made it an event and kind of like a place to be, and like that, all that sort of atmosphere is great for a team trying to build a fan base and really solidify themselves in a market and make the most out of a championship finals run. But this is what you get with all that too. is you get a bunch of people that don't really know the sport. There are the diehards that know what they're doing, but then you get the people that are new and it doesn't mean that much to them, and they're just there for a good time. And I forgot where I was going with this point, but
no. I got you that when a team that's building a fan base sort of gets to this level where it becomes an event, you're going to get people who are just like, oh, hey, this is an excuse to, drink and maybe watch some sports. And
right. They may not end up being Nashville Predators fans, like dyed in the wool or anything like that. They may just be people that were there for a good time, and they didn't get their good time, and they had been drinking all day.
Another thing that actually the Admiral said that I found pretty amusing is like, hey, Nashville, you want to be real hockey fans? Well, being real fans in the NHL means getting your dick constantly kicked in, like, unjustly, so consider yourselves initiated.
I agree. Like, honestly, I think one way to build a fan base, like, winning does a lot of great things, but it just gets people around that like you for being winners, right?
Mm-hmm.
To really build fans, and we've had this sort of argument before, like, what makes a true fan? I think experiencing some heartbreak, some tough losses like that, can do more for you than winning sometimes.
I completely agree with that. Completely. I lived through it with the Browns, but
yeah,
the worse it got in the 80s, the more you were into it, if that makes any sense. I mean, it sounds kind of masochistic, but that's not the way I mean it to. But like, you really, forged a bond, I guess, at the point where it was like, okay, we're really in this thing now. It's not just a fad or a fashion or whatever. To be a Browns fan, you're invested at that point. So yeah, I think right. I agree with that.
We've had arguments that what makes you a good fan? Well, I've been there through the tough times. Props to you for selling out the arena when you're like under 500 every year or whatever. But I think going through this, and maybe if they win the next time they go, which could be soon, they could be back to the Cup final soon enough. Who knows? It'll make it better, and you've grown a lot of people now. You can get them back the next time, and they're not just people hanging around.
Yeah. But to the bigger picture here, and this is stuff that I've picked up reading the boards and stuff. Did Pittsburgh really get all the advantages that certain people think they got? I mean, because there seems to be a pretty decent-sized contingent out there that believes that Pittsburgh got all the calls and got everything to go their way and all that.
They get a lot of calls.
Okay, I'm not.
In Game 6, there were 4 penalties called. They were all called against the Penguins, so I'm not sure that's
right. I think it's these arguments aren't going to hold too much water after this one game.
Mm-hmm.
But when you take it, like, some of them keep track of these sort of things because it's a personal vendetta for them, which is fine. Like, It happens to a lot. But I think over the course of time, the Penguins build up a lot of stuff to go their way. I think it was more so in the early rounds, because I didn't remember anything particular against Ottawa that did that, or maybe even anything in particular in this series, just beyond the taking away the goal early on. So I think the criticism is a little misguided. At this point, it made more sense earlier on, but to point one game and say, "Look, this is the whole example of them." No, I don't buy that.
Well, not only that, but I think it's been proven over the years for a very long time now that the good teams benefit from. I shouldn't say they don't get like. It's not rigged. It's not anything like that. It's a natural reaction, I guess, to the officials, but. The good teams seem to get the benefit of the call because they're the good teams. And not from a marketing, blah, 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 who we want to win standpoint, but because they're the good teams. And so they play better. So if that makes any sense.
If I may, on this series, Pittsburgh there's a 50-50 shot that Pittsburgh loses game 1 of the series in overtime if the Preds don't let them score on the only 2 shots they get in the third period. All right,
yeah.
That's not right. On the refs.
There's a perfect example of where Nashville blew this series is a game like that. But yeah.
Well, they went, what was it, 37 minutes or something like that without a shot on goal?
Yeah.
And
they scored on their 2 shots in the third period. One of them was an empty netter. So
they get 2 shots in the third period, score on both of them. I mean, that's on you, Nashville. Officiating can't make that happen. I don't know. I don't know how the fuck do you lose a game like that, but okay.
Then
see, that's a point where somebody would point to that as like, this is just how things work for the Penguins. Yeah, well,
they're a good team.
But hockey luck doesn't make sense. It doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
Like the same thing that happened to the Predators in that game happened to the Ducks against the Predators in Game 6. Same sort of situation in terms of stretches without shots and a disparity in shots on goal to the other, and then the team that has the far significant amount ends up winning. It happens. Yeah. It's what this game is.
And then Game 6, Nashville rallies with their 2 games at home. They basically reset the series, so they basically get a do-over of Game 1 in Pittsburgh, and then they lose 6-0.
Yeah.
Come the fuck on. Like Zach said, they found all their scoring in the previous 2 games. Pekka Rinne looked fantastic the previous 2 games. This team was, by every metric, improving and getting their shit together, and then they give up 6.
Mm-hmm. You got shut out in 2 straight games.
Yeah.
In the final 2 games of the series, you were shut out. Yes, you got a goal called back, but like we said, it wasn't like it was a clean goal by any stretch. It was kind of a fluky hockey goal.
It was a fluky goal, and speaking as a from a goalie's perspective, I know, I kind of had to know this as a goalie. Refs are trained to blow the whistle when they lose sight of the puck. And on top of that, refs are trained, once that whistle's blown, it doesn't matter if the puck's still loose. The whistle blows, the play is dead. And so by every metric, I guess, kind of studying going by what the rule says and how it's supposed to be applied, that goal should not have counted. Now, yes, you could say he was too eager blowing the whistle, but once he blew the whistle, that's that. Sorry. And I don't think it was it wasn't a pro-Pittsburgh bias. He lost sight of the puck and he blew the whistle, which is what he's supposed to do.
Yep. And I also think that knowing what we do know about the Pittsburgh Penguins and their abilities, in the way that game was being played, sure, okay, let's say Nashville does get awarded that goal.
Mm-hmm.
I would still bet money that the Penguins tie it at some point.
Absolutely. Without question.
I think it would happen. If there was a team that I'd bet on it happening for, it'd be the Penguins, just because that's what they do.
Well, and I think somebody brought this up in the thread too. Who's to say that if that goal had been allowed, who's to say that Pittsburgh doesn't reel off 6 straight after that? Yeah. It's all the woulda, coulda, shoulda stuff. I mean, yeah, you hate to see a call like that play a role in a game that decides a championship. But if you put it best, Mike, every game is a what if at the end of it. I mean, for the most part. I mean, a 53-0 football game, there's not a whole lot of what ifs there. But for the most part, every competitive game, it's a what if. There's a play that could take place.
Even if I could say what if. Like at the end of Game 5, I could say what if Pekka Rinne didn't play like hot garbage.
Right. I said it from the start. I'm going to say it again. Pittsburgh was the better team. Let's even go as far as to say that Nashville wins last night. Who's betting on them to win Game 7?
I fully anticipated Nashville winning Game 6 after the way the first 5 went. Said, okay, yeah, sure, Nashville will take Game 6 because that's what they do in their home crowd. And the Penguins will come home Game 7, but it won't be competitive. It might be 3-1. The Penguins would win Game 7 comfortably, I thought, one way or the other.
At any point in the series, did either of you ever think, yes, Nashville is the better of these 2 teams?
The 2 games in Nashville, they looked pretty dominant.
Yeah. And even after the first game in Nashville, I could have even attributed that to just the rush of playing at home and the atmosphere that was created there. It was Game 4 that made me say, okay, well, maybe the Preds can really scrap their way through this thing. And then Game 5 showed me, oh, no. Because one way or another, whoever won, again, the way things were playing out, whoever won the first road game was going to end up winning this thing. If the Preds could have stolen one in Pittsburgh, they probably win the Cup. If the Pens ultimately won the one road game they needed in Game 6. Because each team was playing so well at home and not great on the road that if either of them could have stolen a game on the road, that would have been it. And the Penguins did it. Penguins did it to clinch the cup. And
hey, again, Nashville, maybe don't let Pittsburgh score on their one significant shot in the third period, in Game 1. That's not ref bias. You just blew it.
And I think the Preds had a great season. I know that it sucks to walk away from it, but as from an outsider standpoint, I look at it and go, I'm thinking I'd be pretty happy that you got to Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Finals this year. And I think the future's pretty bright for that crew. So, it's not the end of the world. I mean, I'm sure it feels like it to them right now, but it'll you're going to be back, maybe.
And like I said earlier, I think losing would be better. I come from the experience of watching my team, the Ducks, when they went to the Cup Final the first time. It was a magical run, and it was amazing that they got there. And yeah, it sucked that they lost in 7 games. It was kind of a similar series where the home team won all the games in 2003. But when you lost, it sucked, but it didn't sting too hard because you're like, we shouldn't have been there in the first place. This was amazing that they did this. But you still got the experience of going through it, and you as a fan can say, well, we almost got there. The next time you go, and if you do win, it will, trust me, it will make it feel better in the end. Like, it's weird justifications that we all put ourselves through as fans to make ourselves feel good about things. But I generally think, like, if you're a team that is just good and you don't know what losing is, then these things don't really mean much to you, and you kind of won't have the same fire and passion as a team that sucks a lot or goes through big losses. Like the kids that have grown up in Boston over the last 15 years, like their parents know the pain and suffering of a Boston Red Sox fan or a New England Patriots fan or even a Celtics fan to a certain extent and a Bruins fan. And now their kids are like, oh, yeah, well, we should be winning these things all the time. Whatever. Who cares? Yeah,
like I think the Patriots would be a perfect example of what you're talking about. If you became a Patriots fan back in, say, 2000, you don't know any type of fan suffering at all. Sure, you lost a few along the way, but you put 5 in your pocket along the way, too. So it's just not the same.
Or I think about it with Cubs fans now. Like, all the years of suffering you put into the team, it meant so much to finally get there and win it this time.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But like a 15-year-old kid or something, if the Cubs win a second one, it won't ever mean the same.
Well, I think a 15-year-old kid, even if you look at 15 years, last 15 years with the Cubs, they've been successful more than not. Now, they didn't win any World Series and they never got to any, but they were in the playoffs a few times. It's not the same as, say, somebody my age who saw, abject misery with that team. Or take the Cavaliers, for example, last year in the whole Cleveland thing. I think a 20-year-old kid has no appreciation for that like somebody my age does. I mean, I honestly got it. I'm not even a big basketball fan, but when they won that title, I got choked up because it was just like, Jesus Christ, finally, and this is amazing, and, nobody can say this about us anymore. And it was really cool because of the losing. It really, I hate to say it builds character because it really assigns way more importance to sports than it probably deserves. But it's similar to that where... I mean,
look, if the Leafs can ever win a Stanley Cup in my lifetime, it will be magical.
You'll weep like a baby. You know it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's all those things.
Yeah.
But we spent a lot of time talking about the losing team.
Let's talk about these Pittsburgh Penguins.
The first repeat champion in 19 years.
Since the Red Wings of 97-98.
Yep.
Yeah.
And,
I remember from last time.
The team's second back-to-back titles in their history. Mario obviously won 2 in a row.
Now, is this their 5th or 6th cup?
5th.
Okay, because they had 2 with Mario, 1, I don't remember what year it was, in these 2.
2010 Penguins. No, 2009 Penguins.
2009, yes.
Yeah, they beat Detroit in the rematch from 2008.
Which everyone complained about at the time, but which was actually probably really good for hockey.
Oh, that was awesome. Yeah, back-to-back 7-game series between the Penguins and Red Wings. Yeah. That was cool.
And I think looking back, that game's going to be one of those changing the guard series, like how kind of you look like in the 80s, right? The Islanders and the Oilers played each other 2 years in a row, and the Islanders won the first one, but then the Oilers won the second one.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, oh, well, this is just where like one great team passes it off to the other. I think that's
I can point
looking back going to be something that people
to the moment that the passing of the torch took place, and that the first in the series Edmonton beat them the first time. Mm-hmm. Gretzky got loose and beat Billy Smith, the goalie for the Islanders, on a breakaway, and that was, you knew, and because I'd been watching it from the beginning, from the Islanders dynasty all the way through. Mm-hmm. And when he got by and got the breakaway goal on Billy Smith, you knew right then and there that Edmonton was going to win that series. And that it was literally, you could feel it, like, this is it. The Islanders are done. The Oilers are the new kings of the hill or whatever. It was
the
really
new hotness.
Cool. Yeah, it was really cool. But wow, there was some great hockey back then. But anyway, I don't want to, take us down the, things were great in my day thing again. So,
Now, Sid now becomes somebody with back-to-back cups, back-to-back Conn Smythes. He has 3 cups.
Pretty good year going back. Won the World Cup of hockey.
Yeah, a lot of people are calling this one of the greatest 365-day stretches in hockey history for a player, with the 2 cups, 2 Conn Smythes, the World Cup win.
Yeah, not bad.
The amount of points he put up in that time too.
Yeah, 100-goal season too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not that Sidney Crosby's legacy probably wasn't already established, but it's hard to judge these things in the moment. And I hate when people do this too. Like, right after the game, it's like that third question that Pierre Maguire asked Sid. So Sid, what does this do for your legacy?
Well,
I don't think Sid's in charge of his legacy, really.
Yeah, one, he's not going to think about that. 2, he literally just won it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But he still has at least 10 years left in his career. Who the hell knows?
If I may just say something on Pierre Maguire.
Pierre Maguire.
Mike's first.
Big fan of Sidney Crosby, played with the Maruski Oceanic and the QMJHL, number 1 overall pick, 2005.
I thought I escaped.
His brother played for the Brandon Wheat Kings.
I thought I escaped Pierre Maguire when he left TSN to work for NBC.
Wrong.
And now I come down here, and on that point, NBC, get your shit together. Not just Pierre Maguire, just on everything.
Well, this is your first go around with NBC, right?
Mike's first Stanley Cup Finals without CBC. It was fun. You guys listen to this all the time?
Yeah.
Well, I want to go back to the Oilers and Islanders. The most awesome thing about that was we watched all of that shit on CBC. For some reason, our cable system in Toledo got CBC. So I grew up on CBC hockey. This American shit, I know that, but yeah. Anyway.
Mike Milbury. One thing I will give Nashville fans, they gave Mike Milbury the public humiliation he so deserves.
That was
the guy great. Get the fuck out of Nashville. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, no. The other great thing about that whole story too was, all the Nashville fans hated Milbury after he called the little Subban Crosby incident in Game 5, mm-hmm. and basically Milbury said he had it coming. That Subban deserved that. And so all these fans made these Milbury signs that said, he had it coming. Fire Milbury, he has it coming. And they would hold it up behind the NBC set, outside. And some NBC producers came over to a couple of these people and said, hey, we really don't want you to do this. We're going to offer you a hat. And it wasn't even like a Predators hat or an NHL hat. It was an NBC Sports hat.
Oh.
Here, if you put the sign down, we'll give you an NBC Sports hat.
Shit, I'd take one of those.
Pierre Maguire, Mike Milbury, and Doc Emmerich. Oh God.
Oh, he's a 5-time Emmy Award winner, Mike.
That means. Then that award's meaningless at this point. He was screaming.
The
word is pass, Doc.
He elevates the puck.
He
soccers it into the corner.
He passed the puck.
Infiltrates it through the zone. Waffle board it away.
Here, you want? Okay.
Fleury can't find it, and the play is stopped.
I wanted to bring this up a couple shows ago, and I don't know if you're going to be able to hear this or not, but it is the Doc Emmerich soundboard. You ready for this?
Ooh.
Can you hear those?
No.
Oh, it's all right. Anyway, it's if you go to just delete Doc Emmerich soundboard, everything that he says is up there. It's pretty funny.
The other great thing that Doc Emmerich did, Mike, which, you know, if you want to appreciate him, they went to Primanti Brothers in Pittsburgh in between the first two games, and they had Doc Emmerich call play-by-play of the man putting together his sandwich.
Oh, that's amazing.
He grabs the bread. What next? The fries, of course. On top of that, a perfectly cut tomato. Next, with the left, he goes for, yes, the coleslaw.
So, I
found the soundboard. This is amazing.
Yeah. So I'm going to assume by your reaction, Mike, that you weren't thrilled with NBC's coverage of the Stanley Cup Finals.
Coverage is a broad term. I thought coverage-wise it was good.
Okay. Or the
in terms of kind of, well, yeah, in terms of covering the game, they afforded it. They afforded it enough time. They treated it like a big event. It was properly hyped up, so I thought that was perfectly fine. My three main problems, though, are Doc Emmerich, Mike Milbury, and Pierre Maguire, because they're all awful. And
what about Jeremy Roenick? Did you enjoy your time with Jeremy Roenick?
Jeremy Roenick was funny more than anything. Like, I remember watching the pregame show for Game 5, and Roenick was like, I gotta say, those last two games in Pittsburgh, in Nashville, the Penguins, they look tired. I think Nashville's gonna have an easy time of it. The Penguins are tired, guys, believe me. And then the Penguins won 6-0. It's like, well, okay.
Guess they weren't that tired.
JR's not great with analysis. He brings a lot of emotion, but his analysis is lacking.
I kind of got the sense, and maybe I'm way off, but I kind of got the sense that Jeremy Roenick's trying to be like the American Don Cherry.
Oh,
sorta.
And I guess maybe if they treated him like that, like keep him off the pregame show, but just kind of give him his own segment during one of the intermissions, maybe that could work.
Whenever they do the Cup Finals too, they try to like travel him around the city and like roaming with JR. And it's like,
yeah, I saw one where it was like he's looking. I saw one I think before Game 3 where he was looking for a catfish in Nashville.
Yeah,
and like I'm watching this going like, what the fuck am I watching? Because Ron McClain's Hockeyville in like CBC is quiet and dignified compared to this. Because they just sent Ron McClain out to some small Canadian town, and they're just happy to have him. But here, Jeremy Roenick is wandering the streets of Nashville looking for a catfish, and I don't know what I'm supposed to make of any of this.
Yeah,
I don't know what you're supposed to make of that either.
Yeah, well, it's, you know, it's just they're trying to. Let's just say the American hockey audience is not the Canadian hockey audience, and NBC is trying to advertise to a different demographic.
Okay.
That's fair. I can take that, but even all of that in mind, I would still say my one firm line in the sand is fire Mike Milbury. Like, he's just got to go. Everything else I could put up with is just sort of kitschy and stupid, but whatever. I get it. I get it if there's an audience for it, but Mike Milbury just brings nothing to the table.
I'm not sure what the audience for Mike Milbury is.
Isn't he like the universally agreed worst general manager of all time?
Yeah,
he's kind of the Matt Millen of hockey, right?
Yeah. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, I forget what it was, but at some point it's like Mike Milbury fired these coaches, and it's like these guys are still playing in the playoffs or something like that.
I remembered something from last year's playoffs. Last year when the Islanders played the Panthers, and I remembered like Game 1, the Islanders drummed the Panthers. Game 2, the Panthers came back and won. And so it was like a 3-person panel, and one of the analysts asked Mike Milbury, so what was the difference for the Panthers between Games 1 and 2? And Mike Milbury goes, well, Roberto Luongo stopped more shots in Game 2.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mike.
Right, and luckily the host at the time like called him out on that. Like, Great analysis, Mike. I could have said that too.
I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway.
Mike Milbury played in the very first NHL game I ever went to, and he was with the Bruins.
Was that the game where someone?
No, that was a few years prior to my first game. But
okay.
I remember, and maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but I think he played without a helmet, and he had like this dorky like 70s hairdo, and he just looked like this big, slow, lumbering dumb fuck out on the ice. He might have been good, but it was just his look. Just made him look, I don't know, it was just the funniest thing. I've always remembered that. Every time I see him, that's what I think of.
Yeah, no, you're correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So the Penguins, great team or greatest team of all time?
Not greatest team of all time.
They're not the greatest.
Because if you ask the NHL, which they had a very scientific fan poll to determine this.
Oh, I did that poll. It was bullshit.
That poll was so garbage. But one of the Gretzky Oiler teams was voted the greatest team of all time. I forget.
I wouldn't complain about that, I guess.
No, that's fine. But like, I remember when the top 20 came out, I was like, okay, let's look through these teams. Okay, Oilers, Canadians, Flames.
No Islanders on there?
Islanders were in there like twice. Yeah, it was like, so I can tell what teams fans voted in this thing.
Well, the problem with that poll was that honestly they broke it up. The chunks were too small. Like, I don't think you can do it year by year. Like, you've got to consider the Oilers team over the latter half of the 80s as like one.
Like, are you going to argue, well, the 84 Oilers were better than the 80? No, come on.
Yeah. You know, that 85 Oilers had something that the 86 Oilers just lacked. Like, come on, guys. Don't do that.
Yeah, the 86 Oilers lacked the Stanley Cup. But other than that.
But just in general, it was. It was a garbage poll, but I would say that my top three probably greatest NHL teams. It's probably the Canadiens, the Richard Canadiens, the Guy Lafleur Canadiens, and the Gretzky Oilers. And however you want to kind of, I guess, rank those. You can go ahead. Yeah. I think I'm fine with any of those teams.
Yeah, I'm probably good with that too. Like, really, and again, I'm biased about it, but I thought that it was kind of a real kind of travesty that the 2007 Ducks are not one of the top 20 Cup winners of all time. It's like you name the names on that team, and it's like that's a pretty damn good team.
Was that where Korea and Solani?
Well, no, that's Chris Pronger and Scott Niedermayer on defense.
Okay.
Tim Solani in front. Jaguar playing at the height of his career, in goal. I don't know. You got two Hall of Famers on the blue line. I think that at least gets you into the damn conversation.
How about the 94 Rangers? Was they in the conversation?
And the fact that they dominated through that playoffs. They were 16-5 overall, I think, by the end of it.
That's pretty good. That's a pretty dominant run in that.
Did the 94 Rangers make that list anywhere?
Probably because people vote for that sort of garbage.
Yeah, because I don't know that I would put them on that. Honestly,
I've never
as like an all-time great team. I don't know that I could say that about them.
I had the list pulled up last week, and I was going to bring it up, but they hadn't announced the top three, and I forgot about it because I don't care.
I have never seen one team milk a single championship more than I've seen the Rangers.
Well, blame ESPN for that too, because when that was right after the Rangers won, is when they took over the rights. Was not right after, soon after, and so trying to market these things, it's do they really want to market the Dallas Stars or the Colorado Avalanche?
Well, you got to look at it. Okay, it's an original 16 that hadn't won a cup in 40 some years, I think, or whatever it was. New York, the whole thing, yeah.
And it was one of those things where it's memorable at any rate because you had Marc Messier laughing like a Bond villain when he got the cup.
Right.
Yeah.
The guarantee.
That's just silly.
The guarantee by him and the series against the Devils the round before that.
Mattel, that one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was but yeah, I was just going to say, I could not, looking at that team, I just don't think that they're one of the 20 all-time greatest teams. Because you had Messier and it was Adam Graves, Matteau, which I don't know, but Brian Leach, Mike Richter, and I can't think of any other big names from that crew. You know what I mean? They were good. I mean, obviously they were good. They won the Stanley Cup, but I don't know that I could put them up there on the same level as like any of the Oilers teams or the Islanders, or I don't know much about the Canadiens because that was before my time as a hockey fan. But you guys are going to hate this, but the Red Wings teams from the 90s and the 2000s, come on, I just don't see it. But
yeah, disgusting.
Sorry.
Chris Osgood is a Stanley Cup championship goaltender.
Multiple.
Who, Chris Osgood?
Yeah.
Well, if it makes you guys feel any better, Detroit fans hated him as much as you guys hate their team. Guy won, 2 cups, right?
A couple, I want to say, was it 3?
I thought it was 2.
He won 1 as a starter. And I think another time he was replaced by Hasek.
Well, I know they brought Mike Vernon in from the Flames. I don't remember if that was over Osgood or who else, but that was like a big deal to Red Wings fans that Mike Vernon
The most memorable thing Chris Osgood ever did is when he played for the Islanders for half a season wearing his Red Wings pants.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, they didn't like him either, so there's that, I suppose. Poor Chris Osgood. Well, fuck him. He's probably got a ton of money, 2 Stanley Cup rings. I'm not going to feel too bad for him.
Yeah, he did all right. Game breaker update. The Cleveland Cavaliers, who had been holding the lead for most of Game 5, are now down 65-52 to the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, you can kiss this one goodnight. It's over. Zach and I were talking before we started tonight. I said if the Cavs win tonight, they will win the whole thing, but they're not going to win tonight. They're going to lose bad. I'm predicting right now that Golden State will win by at least 20.
Yeah, well, and I told this to Mike when you were gone too for the minute, Greg. But I'm not watching this game.
Neither am I.
I wouldn't watch the next game. I watched Game 1, and it was a blowout. And I said, okay, well, whatever. And then the next 2 games are blowouts, and it's like, okay, who the hell cares? But okay, Game 4 rolls around, and it's like, okay, here's an opportunity to see history. 16-0 through a playoff run. This is what will get me back to see it if the Warriors can do history.
Yep.
So I tried watching that game. And of course, the Cavaliers enter all the cheat codes and are 100% from 3-point land. And the Warriors can't do anything. And it's like, that turns out to be a blowout. It's like, okay, well, there goes your history. I don't care about Game 6 or I don't care about Game 5. Because if the Warriors win, okay, big whoop. It'll probably be a blowout. And if the Cavaliers win, well, great. Then they still have Game 6 to play. Well, if the Warriors might win there, okay, whatever, they win, great. The only way that I would come back to actually watch this series is if it went to Game 7. Mm-hmm. But here's the problem. Of course, if it does go to Game 7 and the Cavaliers have their opportunity to potentially make history, it'll end up being a blowout one way or another, so who cares?
It's that's exactly it. I decided, I like you, I watched Game 4 because if the it was an elimination game.
Yeah,
and I love that the Cavaliers activating all the cheat codes is perfect because that's pretty much what they did. But right now, the Cavaliers and the Golden State Warriors are playing in the NBA Finals. I'm watching the Yankees and Angels on MLB TV because I just don't give a shit. If it gets to Game 7, I'll watch again. But the only thing that was interesting left in this entire that's a home run, Cole Calhoun. The only interesting thing left in this entire series was to see whether or not Golden State could go undefeated through the playoffs. Once that was gone, that's it. Now it's like if the Cavs can come back from 0-3. But there's been no interesting narrative in this whole thing, ever, at any point.
To me, the only interesting narrative died when Boston squeaked out a win against Cleveland. And, the Cavs ended up winning that series in 5 because it's it would have been neat to have 2 undefeated teams in the finals, but that's not going to happen, so who cares?
Yeah, and really...
those were the 2 spots where the interest died, was the Cavs losing a game and then the Warriors losing a game. Well, it's like, all right, well...
Yeah.
Oh, well.
I mean, seriously, if you're just a casual fan, why would you watch this? What is there to see?
I mean, Tristan Thompson and David West looked like they made out for a second. Because they went face-to-face, I guess. It's all over Twitter.
Oh, well. Well, good for them.
But yeah, otherwise it's like, I put this in our NBA thread where I said, as a very casual NBA fan, I have no reason to watch this series unless it goes back to Game 7. And like I said, even if it does, it'll probably be a blowout then. Like, if the series had been tighter, maybe I end up watching. But the fact that every single game has been a blowout is just it's not entertaining. It's just not.
No. I think the whole playoffs in the NBA have just been one big snooze fest.
Right.
Were there any upsets in the playoffs at all? Do we remember? I don't remember. Like a lower seed beating a higher seed?
Yeah, the Jazz beat the Clippers.
Oh, that doesn't count.
Right. they were a lower seed.
And technically, the Cavs upset the Celtics.
Yeah.
Technically speaking, yes.
Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, God.
It doesn't count when it's the Clippers.
Right. It's just I don't know, man. I was interested in it last year because, the Cleveland title thing and all that, and I like the Cavs, but I'm not a big enough NBA fan to care enough to watch all of these games. With the Cavs, I just won't do it. I mean, the early rounds of the playoffs, why am I bothering? Because let's be honest, if they don't get to the finals, it's a complete waste of time for them, for the Cavaliers. So what's the point in watching them play a second round game? Because, if they don't get past that, then that's it. The season's over and it's a disaster. I don't know. To me, Angels, Yankees on June 12th is much more interesting than the NBA finals are right now. That's the way I feel about it.
Yeah. Here's a question for you then, Greg. If you were, if say you didn't have access to watch any MLB game you wanted, and you were forced to watch either the MLB draft or the NBA finals,
I'm watching the finals.
Oh.
I said, guys, I'm a huge baseball fan, and to me, that MLB draft being televised is the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
No,
it makes absolutely no sense.
You're correct.
I mean, like I said, you're going to hear a guy's name that's going to get drafted tonight. That will be the one and only time you'll ever hear his name. That'll be it. And he'll disappear through the cracks, and the next thing you know, he'll be playing minor league ball in, Left Nut, Oklahoma somewhere. And he'll flame out and go back home, and that'll be the end of it. And then in 10 years, some idiot on a podcast will go, "No, this guy was drafted ahead of whoever becomes the star out of this draft." That's what's going to happen. I don't know. I would rather watch. You know what? Honestly, a better question for me: your choice is a soccer game or the NBA Finals. Which one would you watch right now?
Soccer.
I think I'd watch the soccer game. I really would, because at least that's something that I go, I don't know what's going to happen. Oh, I'd watch the College World Series if I didn't have any major league game. I'd watch one of the super regional games. That's what I'd be watching.
You guys obviously missed the World Cup qualifier between the U.S. and Mexico on Sunday. It's a big deal. U.S. earned a tie in Mexico.
They didn't win, but they tied, right?
It's only the third time in their history that they've earned any sort of positive result, a tie or a win in Mexico.
They've beaten Mexico once in 32 tries, right?
In Mexico. They have won once there. They have won once and tied twice.
Okay.
So if it's a qualifying match and it was a tie, who gets in?
Well, it's a round robin sort of thing. So
it's battle royale in the middle of the ring, or the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
What's the thing called, Mike, where they bring out the briefcase filled with money?
Money in the Bank.
The Money in the Bank, yeah. Canada's going to come in and use their Money in the Bank briefcase.
My God, it's Canada with the Money in the Bank. My God.
Oh, Canada. My God, is that Canada's music?
Canada.
Sports they need to add the Money in the Bank to everything. That would be so cool.
The funniest thing I saw was on the day of Trump's inauguration, someone photoshopped a picture of, I think it was Randy Orton with the Money in the Bank briefcase, but then they photoshopped Bernie Sanders' head onto it. It's like, my God, that's Bernie Sanders music.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Oh wait, are you fucking kidding me?
I don't know.
The MLB draft coverage is ending, and I have to watch the rest of it on MLB.com.
That shit ain't funny,
Well, I mean, good for us, but that sucks for you, man.
What?
somebody just went, fuck it. We're done. Turn this off, put something else on.
God.
And not even Major League Baseball's own network will carry the draft to its completion.
I assume that
They own the airtime.
Are they doing no, they're just going to MLB tonight.
Yeah, like I said, somebody was sitting in the control room and went, what the fuck are we doing? Put something else on the air. Wow. It's that bad. It's so bad that they're like, fuck it, we're not even going to air this shit.
It's their own network.
Right? Okay, folks, we're going to call it a night. You know the routine. Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports. You can subscribe via iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, YouTube, and... Did I miss one? Spreaker, YouTube. Whatever. You know where they all are, and we'll see you next time.
Wherever local podcasts are sold.
That bugs me now. Wait a minute. Okay, iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher, YouTube. Oh, and find us on Facebook. And with that, we're going to call it a night. We'll see you next time.
Adios.
Later.